1.3 million more and more Tennesseans are now turning to food stamps as a way to make ends meet and put meals on the table. Plus, an investigation underway for a man found dead in a boating accident. We've got the latest details. And a generation just entering its prime shows it might be ready to take over from the baby boomers.
10 News is brought to you in high definition exclusively by Harper Auto Square. You are watching WBIR TV, Channel 10, Knoxville. The news starts now.
It's just a big challenge to be able to even convey the poverty in our service area.
The recession may be ending for some, but the signs of struggle are still evident for many in Tennessee. One of those shows up in a form of putting food on the table. Good evening and thanks for watching. I'm Aaron Wright. We're going to get to our top story in just a minute, but now we've got a developing story for you in North Knoxville. Police are investigating the discovery of a body found on Washington Avenue this afternoon. Officers found the body between Mitchell Street and some railroad tracks that cross Washington Pike. Investigators are on this scene, but they have not figured out a cause of death or identified the person that was found. We'll have more on this story as it becomes available. Grocery bills are on the rise across the U.S. thanks to increasing food costs, but wages don't climb at the same pace, leading some to need a helping hand. A new report shows Tennessee has the 6th highest number of people on food stamps in the country. WBIR 10 News reporter Leslie Ackerson has more on how nonprofit groups in the state are battling to keep these numbers down.
Aaron, more than 1 million people use food stamps in Tennessee, according to the USDA. It's a number that continues to grow, but one many are hoping to shrink.
The numbers are so enormous, it's even hard to grasp.
Second Harvest Food Bank of East Tennessee provides over 1 million meals a month to people in 18 counties. 45,000 are for children.
It's just a big challenge to be able to even convey the poverty in our service area.
As a nonprofit, Second Harvest works to provide healthy meals to those living in poverty. It's a problem with many faces in East Tennessee.
Urban poverty, we have rural poverty. We have a lot of working poor. We have people that do work, but they aren't making enough to feed their families.
Strano says one reason the number is rising is because many of those in poverty never expected to be there.
Seniors have been hit in a massive way, thinking that they had enough for retirement, and they don't. Some grandparents are taking care of their grandchildren, never thought they'd have to do that, so their money they thought that would be good for retirement is now helping raise their grandchildren.
In addition to places like Second Harvest, those in need turn to food stamps or SNAP benefits. The USDA says a little more than 1.28 million Tennesseans receive the stamps.
It's just painful. It's a very painful process to know the need is so great out there.
Many enroll temporarily to get back on their feet.
No one is getting $500 a month in grocery coupons. No one is doing that. It's an assistant to help them feed their families in a healthy way.
Food stamps cost the state around $160 million a year. It's spending that's often criticized by taxpayers.
So there has to be a level of compassion when you feed the hungry, and there can't be a level of judgment.
Now, to qualify for food stamps, a family of 4 must make less than $31,000 a year, and an individual must make less than $15,000. Elaine Strano says there are 250,000 people in Second Harvest's service area that live off $25,000 a year or less for a family of 4. She believes education could play a big role in defeating poverty by training people for higher paying jobs. Aaron?
All right, Leslie, thanks so much for that report. The TWRA is investigating the death of a man who died after a boating accident. Monroe County emergency crews responded to the Tellico Harbor Marina near Vonore last night around 9. Authorities say 68-year-old Guy Robert Gettinger was the only person on board when the accident happened. Officers say he lived on a boat at the marina. The medical examiner has not yet released Gettinger's cause of death. Police are investigating an overnight shooting in East Knoxville. Officers received a call from a local hospital around 4 o'clock this morning after a patient came into the emergency room with a gunshot wound to the leg. The man told officers he was leaving a business in the 2500 block of Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue around 3:15 when he heard gunshots. One of the rounds hit him in the leg. The victim is expected to be okay. A congressional hearing on Tuesday could impact thousands of people here in Tennessee. Members of Congress will begin deliberations on downsizing the military, and hundreds of jobs at Fort Campbell are at stake. The Army has to be reduced from 490,000 to 450,000 active personnel this year. That includes family members. As many as 8,000 people around Fort Campbell could be affected. Any cuts would also be a big hit to the local economy. Fort Campbell officials said last month any support they receive would absolutely carry some weight in the decision-making process. Well, police in a Middle Tennessee city now say the death of a school principal happened after a domestic dispute. Columbia police say the brother of Spring Hill Elementary principal Sharon Cantrell killed her and shot her husband on Saturday afternoon. Police say Terry Cantrell survived and was able to grab a handgun from his car. That's when he killed the shooter, his wife's brother, 63-year-old Tom Cock. The shooting is still under investigation and no charges have been filed against Terry Cantrell at this time. The FBI and Secret Service are trying to find out who shot at Vice President Joe Biden's home in Delaware. Police responded to the home at 8:30 last night. Secret Service agents heard the gunshots and saw a car speed away. The Bidens were at home at the time. Authorities are interviewing neighbors, but there wasn't any visible damage to the Bidens or any other home. Two Kentucky teenagers accused of evading authorities in several states are now in custody. Officers arrested 18-year-old Dalton Hayes and his girlfriend, 13-year-old Cheyenne Phillips, in Panama City, Florida, just after midnight. The two are wanted in Kentucky, Georgia, and South Carolina. They're accused of stealing trucks in Kentucky and Georgia and using stolen checks in South Carolina. Hayes also faces charges for taking Phillips without permission. The FBI is investigating a bomb threat that forced a Delta Airlines flight to make an emergency landing in North Carolina. The plane was forced to land at the Raleigh-Durham International Airport yesterday after someone made a threat on social media. All 107 people on board were held on the tarmac while bomb teams searched the plane and luggage, though nothing was found. An FAA employee in Atlanta faces charges for bringing a gun in his carry-on luggage. Authorities say it happened this past Tuesday. The employee was headed on a flight from Atlanta to New York when TSA agents found the gun in his bag. The employee is suspended indefinitely during the investigation. Earlier this month, investigators uncovered a major gun smuggling ring involving airline workers at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta. Well, time to move over, you baby boomers. Your kids and grandkids are about to take over. Based on U.S. Census Bureau projections, millennials will become the biggest generation in the country this year. The census says there are about 75.3 million millennials right now, and they'll top out at more than 81 million in 2036. Right now, there are 74.9 million baby boomers. They topped out at just under 79 million in 1999. Gen Xers, the generation squeezed between, will hit its peak of 65.8 million in 2018. Well, the reaction to the newest issue of a French satire has sparked riots around the world. The latest controversy surrounding Charlie Hebdo and how sides are handling the uproar. And the Pope draws a crowd wherever he is around the world. But how many people came to say farewell to Pope Francis from his trip to Asia? We got that coming up next.